Night of the Living Geek.
This is Chie Satonaka, and you're listening to the Giant Sword Podcast. You better eat more meat.
Hello and welcome to this week's Giant Sword Podcast. I'm your party leader, Nick Lynn. To my side are my noble and hairy are Taylor Hoyt. What have we got? Nice. Connor White.
Is that a Crash Bandicoot reference?
It was. And our special guest, Casey Hollingsworth.
You did it, Goku!
Good to have you back on the podcast, dude.
It is mine pleasure.
As one of my bestest friends and also one of my most favoritist of RPG aficionados, welcome back.
It is a pleasure to be back. And of course, I now own all of you. So it wouldn't be right.
Oh, God.
Otherwise.
He's come to usurp our powers, our throne here at the Giant Sword Podcast. Well, we've brought you here today, Casey, not only for your RPG acumen, but also for your knowledge of classic horror movies. Because that ties into our topic today. And actually, that being said, Casey, you want to tell the audience the name of the horror movie that we watched on Friday night?
Yeah, so let's give a joyous shout out to Frankenhooker. Don't let the name, poster, or first hour and 20 minutes of the film fool you. It actually has a very strong feminist message, and I would recommend it to anyone in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I can vouch to. It was A, hilarious, B, hilarious,
Z,
over the top.
Yeah, it was great. Anyways, so forging ahead, Casey, the first thing I wanted to talk about with you was that basically I reference the fact that we're cooperatively playing through Final Fantasy 12 like almost every week on the podcast. So I just want to tell these guys a little bit just about how ridiculously far that journey has taken us and how we're not even close to the end yet.
That would have been the first thing I'd bring up, actually, is despite the amount I'm sure it's been brought up here, it would be a tough sell to claim that we are anywhere near finishing.
Yeah, exactly, because let's face it, Final Fantasy 12 came out a decade ago, and we're playing it now, and we're still being challenged.
Well, Taylor started it when it first came out, and he's still playing it.
Yeah, exactly. What's your file at now? 3,782 hours?
Something like that, yeah.
I think I'm almost halfway done.
Well, there's a lot of depth to that game. I mean, Nick's obviously being facetious, but there's a lot of depth that most Final Fantasies, I feel up until that point, didn't really have. Mainly the hunts, because there's this jobs board in Ravenastre, and you can just be doing that thing for dozens and dozens of hours.
Yeah, every time you complete even the most small node on the plot, a ton more hunts will open up. It's just ridiculous how they just. It's a deluge of things you can do.
And I do feel as though the curve in terms of difficulty remains completely consistent throughout. No matter what juncture we get to, there's no point at all where I ever feel like we're overpowered and things are ridiculously easy. It keeps us on our toes the whole way.
Quite the opposite. There's been times when we have gotten too big for our britches, and then all of a sudden we'll go into a new area and even the most basic NPC monsters there will just rip us inside out. It's just as far as the scaling of a game and the challenge of it, it's been pretty ridiculous. So we've been spending our time trying to get the espers mostly, because the espers are the de facto summons of any Final Fantasy game, as everyone knows. And what's interesting is that in this particular FF game, they kind of took the classic Final Fantasy summons by the wayside. I mean, there's no. Usually when you think of Final Fantasy summons, it's Shiva, Ifrit, Ramu, Titan, Bahamut. There's a canon list. And in this one, it's they went in a completely new direction, which is funny because it's set in Ivalice, Final Fantasy Tactics world, and all those classic summons are in Ivalice.
Yes.
And so I don't know. I just thought it was really interesting that it's a completely different set of espers.
What are some of them? I'm totally forgetting. Like, can you just run in quick?
There are some classics that like harken back to espers that have exists in past games, like Final Fantasy Tactics. Kohulin is one of them.
Oh yeah.
Quakelin, for those who didn't play the update. Of
that's
Tactics.
right. Yeah.
There's a Dramalek, the Roth.
Yeah, that's the one that Daisadarg turns into in Tactics.
Okay.
And it's one of my personal favorites, Marquis Elmdor's true self.
Yeah, Zalara,
the Death Seraph.
Yeah, and so there, and then there's a bunch of ones that they created, like Belias. Well, I guess that's actually from Tactics originally as well. Wiegraf's Zodiac Demon. But then there's Mateus, like an ice-based one, which would have been Cyclops in Tactics, but they just totally revamped it. And then there's a whole host of new ones that I haven't committed to memory just because they're so unique.
Yeah, and I'm soiling myself just thinking about fighting some of those.
Well, we'll have to get you hanging out on the clothesline outside. We can't be having no poopy drawers on the podcast. But either way, we've been spending all our time doing these insane side quests and grinding to get strong enough to get these espers. And like, would you say it's the most like exhaustive like grinding and leveling up process of any game you've ever played, Casey? I would probably say yes for me.
Yeah, that's an interesting point because I was thinking at first when you said that, yeah, I suppose it might possibly be in terms of RPGs, but probably outside of that altogether. I mean, the grinding is necessary too. It's not even just a matter of wanting to get the best gear or like go after the
secret stuff.
The secret stuff for enemies. I mean, it's I wouldn't even consider moving the story forward from where we are until we've done more grinding.
Mm-hmm. Well, we also are very diligent students of the Final Fantasy universe.
True,
but that kind of
makes
makes
you like that deep stuff as well. You're really into
we do, and
delving into the systems.
Well, we've kind of latched onto this one in particular just because it's so deep that it's like we've taken it as like a personal challenge. Like, oh yeah, you think you're better than us, huh? Like, we'll see about that.
Perhaps the one game that comes close, or
I know exactly
almost
what you're gonna say.
Tactics Ogre.
Yep,
it
exactly.
is that one is almost insurmountable in my mind. Just the pure wealth of stuff to do and the time that needs to be put into leveling to truly get every class up to par. I mean, there's some classes I never even got to experience because
it almost sounds miserable when we talk about it like this, but it's like it actually is really rewarding to kind of like try to dive in there and like what you guys say are some of the most like exhaustive grind heavy games that you've ever like really got far in?
Ooh, that's a
like
great question.
The toughest
Dragon Quest
required the most. I could see that for sure. It just required the most out of you, you know. Oh, but you still liked it. You know.
For me, it was Xenoblade Chronicles X. Like that game, near the end of the game, like so you can't you can't advance in a story until you are a certain level, and so you just sit there and grind out, just fighting random monsters or doing side quests. And that game, I mean, I put in good 80, 90 hours in that game, so I would say that's definitely for me. Like as far as just pure grinding to get the next piece to get your skill to just be up to snuff to fight a boss or whatever.
Right. This may be a little afield. But actually, Nick, go on.
I could actually say Persona 4. If you want to get all the rare personas and all the social links for Margaret, you have to grind a lot to get to be able to merge the certain ones to get the special ones.
Right,
so.
But there is a difference between there being like a wealth of grinding that you can do and like a wealth of grinding that you must do. You know, it's
yeah.
Because that's really what defines a game that will just rip your soul out, is if you can't beat this game if you don't put in those hours. And I guess that's kind of what I'm...
Yeah, that's probably the difference, because with Xenoblade, it was you have to. Right. And with you guys, it sounds like you want to because you're enjoying it so much.
Well, I was going to say on that, it's really interesting that they just... they lock you out if you aren't high enough level for an area, because usually in RPGs they'll just make the enemies more difficult, and if you're not high enough level you'll get killed.
Yeah, right.
You know? So it's interesting that they just gate it,
which is most certainly the case with FF12.
Yeah,
we're level 37 and we're afraid to advance to the next area because all of the enemies like start at level 41, and even that big of a difference is the difference between life and death.
Yeah, like we were just whooping ass going through side areas and grinding, just racking up cash, and we're like, all right, let's advance the story. And we go to start towards Giro Vega, and we enter this new area, and we just instantly get butchered. Like from going to like overpowered to being like the the little kid on the block, you know.
Keep your children away from the Necro Hall of Nabutis.
Yes,
it is
please.
a terrible place.
Please, yes. Perish any thought of ever going to the Necro Hall.
So I wanted to ask you, like, one of my biggest hangups I had with 12 is that you don't have a lot of direct control of the combat. It's all about setting up the gambits and stuff like that. Like, coming from the old school of, like, you know, Final Fantasy 7 through 9, even Tactics, like, it's really like you're controlling your combat. Like, how has that been for you guys to more or less watch your party just do, like, you're not even controlling it?
That's an interesting criticism, because it is one thing in particular that I remember hearing a lot about that game and what people didn't like about it before I ever picked up the controller and started playing. But I actually find that while the gambit system is useful, in particular in terms of setting things up to where your characters will, say, automatically heal if their health drops below 50%, or use raise as soon as they die, if you try and implement the same thing with combat, a lot of the time you end up just falling flat on your face or having to retweak it right in the middle of combat, so it becomes more of a burden in that sense, and more requires you to be thinking on your feet in the moment the way you would in any of the regular turn-based Final Fantasy games.
Right, like for me, it's like you're saying like the whole combat system revolves around like setting up these gambits, but I think me and Casey kind of approach it more from like a hyper like micromanaging standpoint, where like as opposed to letting the gambits, which are like the rules for how your NPCs act, instead of like letting those dictate how fights go, we like to micromanage almost every turn for like each character. Like every time the bar fills up, we'll select them and get another spell going. If it's a difficult fight.
Okay.
Because if it's just, you know, some trash or we're grinding, we'll just, you know, let the characters auto attack until the enemies are dead. But
sure.
In a boss fight, you're selecting every action for every character on every turn.
Okay.
And it's like that exhaustive level of control is actually like I would say one of the appeals of the game to me, just because I don't know, it's almost kind of like Ni no Kuni-esque, where you have your character you're controlling and then two others running around.
Yeah,
kind of like doing their AI thing. But like in Final Fantasy 12, it makes it much more feasible to switch between them, as opposed to like having to rely on the AI to do their thing. Like I truly do control all three characters when I play like a difficult FF12 fight, and it's really fun because it's such a micro level of management. It's like the smallest things you have the control over.
Yeah, and while that may you may chalk that up to personal preference, but I find that played in that manner, it's no more tedious than controlling your moves every turn in like FF8, even with the junctions in place, say, or something like that. If anything, that finer attention to each move that we exhibit like that keeps me more firmly rooted in the game than I would have anticipated going in.
It's like it forces you to be 100% like a passenger, or not passenger, but like you know, a participant in every battle. There's not so much sleepwalking through encounters. So
I think I totally forgot what I was just going to say. Sorry, go on. I had like a great question and I totally forgot.
It's cool. That's a story of my life, sir. Step up to the plate and then come up empty. Just kidding,
here's my question. So when you're setting up gambits, like I know when I played it, I was setting it up like I had just mentioned with like having attacks being a part of the gambit system. Do you guys more or less just have healing and buffing spells a part of that, and then you just, like you said, you just control it and don't worry about the attacks as part of the gambit?
Exactly, because I feel like the attacks are really the most important part to automate, to do manually, and that like all the healing stuff is best left to like automation, like automating with gambits, because a lot of times a gambit will heal your character faster than you would be able to. You know, like when someone gets to 40%, someone will drop what they're doing and start a heal spell. And it's like, even if you're really on your shit, like you won't be able to react as fast as a computer could.
Yeah, I think we basically have it set up to prioritize healing past a certain point, then raise, then
Status
Asuna
effects.
or Remedy, basically, take care of any status effects. But when it comes to attacks, like you may be fighting off a bunch of enemies that you can defeat fine just on autopilot with your sword, but then flying enemies will come in, and they're not going to wait for you to finish that battle. If they do,
you're going to have to start checking thunder or lightning spells.
Yeah, and the elemental weaknesses in and of themselves also make that, I think, more important to be a bit more meticulous in terms of how you're approaching it offensively.
Yeah, I guess it's just... long story short, to summarize, the the depth of the game has engrossed us insanely, and we hope to beat it soon. Because I feel like this is one of those games that's like a badge of honor for an RPG fan to complete.
Yeah, I think it certainly will be. If I ever meet the person who has done everything there is to do in Tactics Ogre, I will gladly bow down. But
Yeah. We are not worthy, sir.
Yeah.
We are not worthy if you're out there.
My one last parting question before we move on. So the PS4 remaster is on the horizon. Does it make you guys want to stop and rebuy that? Or
Zodiac Age.
Yeah, or are you guys just like, screw it, we're just going to power through the PS2 version?
Well, the obvious thing is our file, right?
Yeah.
It's like our file we're 90 hours in.
Oh,
We're
wow.
We're not going to drop our file.
90 hours and you're only level 36?
to be fair,
37.
Oh,
a lot of
36.
that
Sorry. Whatever.
Big difference.
to be fair, I suppose a lot of that we just like had set the controller down in like a town area without pausing it or something.
Yeah,
Typical Connor.
We've
I've
probably
got like 5,000 hours, but
Shut up! You frickin' listen to this Philistine on the sidewalk. No, we've probably let a couple idle hours log onto our file, but most
Sure.
of that has been like straight up work. Like
Yeah,
just so
truly
much
not-
grinding. It really is that much. Like level 37 may not sound like much because usually you're like level 90 by the end of a Final Fantasy
Right.
game, but the levels take
a while.
eternity to get in that game. Like being level 37 in that game, I feel like is being level 65 in Final Fantasy 7.
okay.
I have seen some enemies in the hunt section when just looking up and reading about like small details, maybe where to find loot or whatever, and some of them they're like level 99
Jeez.
and their health is matches that. And I can't even fathom
It's unthinkable,
getting
Casey.
there. We shouldn't-
Ungoddamn thinkable.
we shouldn't go there.
So either
Cool.
way, the Zodiac Age re-release is going to be freaking awesome, but like for the purposes of this file, it doesn't really affect us. I
Okay.
guess.
Sounds good.
I'll probably buy it, and then when I revisit it, I'll do that way, and
Absolutely.
maybe then focus on getting everything.
100%.
Now it's enough just to get through the game, frankly.
Right.
Yeah, that's all we can freaking muster.
Cool.
All right. Well, just to clarify, I know this is a really old game, but we're just talking about this because it feels insane that like such FF junkies like us haven't beaten it yet. So it's an
Yes.
important thing in our worlds. But anyways, moving on. Casey, this is what I brought you on to talk about. So
Yes.
I think this conversation was started when we were talking about what RPG or what franchises we would turn into an RPG if we had the choice.
Mhm.
And I chose Onimusha, and Ben Moore on last week's episode chose Resident Evil. And so we thought that was really interesting, just thinking about survival horror like in an RPG context. And we're just we got to wondering like how come scary, spooky, creepy RPG games have not been more popular, because I think we're all in agreement that that's like something that we consider to be awesome
Mhm.
as a concept. And so basically like we've seen a few games like this. Like I can think of a few in the past, but none that really made like a really big splash. So I kind of wanted to ask you guys, like, I can think of a few, but what are some moments when you're playing an RPG that like you really legitimately felt like creeped out, or you got really anxious because of the atmosphere of the game, or scared because something really creepy, or etc. Anything like that? Like, what are some examples you guys can think of? Anybody?
The most prominent one that comes to mind is one that you touched on earlier, if you don't mind me delving into it.
Go on ahead.
It is a part in Xenogears, which
Careful spoilers, by the way. Obviously.
of course. But suffice it to say, a character that is built up to be quite beloved, and as let's say as a mentor of sorts.
Yeah,
Without
this
getting
character
into that.
basically has been watching your back the entire game and following you around and like being just your guardian and like shining light of hope.
Mhm.
Yes, and that shining light of hope begins to dim for a moment when things suddenly take a comes our turn, and in a very vulnerable place, the protagonist, and vicariously through said protagonist, you yourself, are being hit with a barrage of insults and psychologically penetrating questions and truths that cause you to it causes your very understanding of the situation, the characters, and the reality within the game to begin crumbling. And
yeah,
it's
like basically for a plot, like because of plot reasons, this character that you love so much just starts tearing you down and like telling you everything that you know is a lie, and it's like and yeah, sorry, go on.
No worries. It's and this moment isn't just one of awe, where you're it's not simply that the rug is being pulled out from under your feet and it's like a twist or something. I mean, the things that he's hurtling at you, and the mere thought of whatever could be compelling him to do this is absolutely psychologically penetrating, as I said. Like, it's a terrifying moment.
But it's psychologically.
And that's what really makes it, because there's plenty of moments in games that allow for very immediate physical reactions that you might even argue that that's easier to do in a game as opposed to a movie, in terms of something like a jump scare, because you are in the game, you're immersed in it. So
you're participating.
Yeah.
Like outside the capacity of just a spectator, but like it's tough because it's like you ideally to be like really scared and freaked out if someone were to try to pull off a survival horror RPG, like it would have to be psychological thrills, like almost like mixed with like jump scares and like atmospheric thrills, or like or would that just cheapen it?
I don't think it would cheapen it at all necessarily. I think it depends more on how those things are utilized, but instead of just leaving it as like a vague truism or something, I'll give an example. If a horror movie spends the whole time building up a dark and brooding atmosphere, gets you to care for the characters, gets in your head, then under the right circumstances, a jump scare may be that much more well earned, and perhaps even cathartic to some degree.
Because you've been expecting it for so long that when it finally comes, it's almost a kind of relief.
Yeah, or in the very best cases, you get so involved in what's going on in the characters that you forget to anticipate something like that. You're more just worried about anything happening.
Yeah, and then when it happens, it tears your soul in half.
Yeah, but then I'm not going to name names. This is so many horror movies that come out, but if you're just every second that there's a jump scare, somebody's looking out a window, and then somebody smacks their hand on the window, and they don't just leave it at that. It has to go on the score too.
Yeah.
Like that cheapens
like audio
everything involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like if you haven't done the proper work to like set those things up, then like it's just meaningless and just but yeah, that example from Xenogears, it's really difficult to describe without like giving spoilers, but it's like basically just the sensation of everything that you've learned in the 50 hours you've spent on this game up until this point is a complete lie. Like,
jeez.
But like in the game like that especially, it hurts so much more. But like what are some like times you guys were creeped out or got freaky playing an RPG?
I was really trying hard to think, but the only one that really came to mind is there's a part in is it Ryovane's castle where you show one of the characters and they're being approached by like
it's Final Fantasy Tactics.
Sorry, yeah. And I think it's Alma, and she's just sitting somewhere, and you just hear like these screams of like characters getting killed, and like this character comes in all bloody, and you're like, oh god, what could possibly have done that?
Limps in, half dead.
Yeah, and it's just like, like one great something about horror movies, it's like your mind can create something scarier than you could ever possibly see on screen. So like in Tactics, I was like, oh my god, what is that thing that just wiped everybody out? So like I was just
you just hear people getting slaughtered.
I think the best one is it's when you hear a thump 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 slash. Ah!
Wait, Nick, what was that sound again?
Just one excuse to use that.
I can't wait until we have all our sounds on the soundboard. But until then, we'll just keep hearing that same sound. But yeah, the music in that part is really great too, because it's like
it's super eerie. Yeah,
it's like you wouldn't even call it music; it's just the score, kind of like you said, where it's just
yeah.
this really dissonant, unsettling violin note that's just draining. Yeah, and then it gets more staccato and picks up and gets more frantic, and your blood pressure rises with the music. And
you know what? Also, in a weird way, kind of adds to it. It's like that silence, and then when the sound it makes when the text scrolls, like brr, brr, like
yeah,
that
when it's
almost
dead silent, and
Yeah.
you hear that
Yeah.
sound. Ooh.
Yeah, it's kind of chilling.
And that's like that's like an opportunity in horror that would only exist in an RPG. You know, it's like totally an unharvested genre.
On that note, actually, one of the things I always find fascinating about the horror genre, really in any medium, but film's the easiest example because it's audio and visual, just like most games are. But I especially find fascinating when somebody truly puts the effort in to implement every aspect of this. But the best horror movies, in my opinion, are ones that play games with your senses and completely immerse you in the experience.
Mm-hmm. Like the
what
more
you're
senses you can touch on, obviously not like taste and smell, but the more senses you can toy with, the better the effect. Right?
Yeah, and there's a really unique opportunity in any horror game to capitalize on that sort of thing, because as we already touched on, it is inherently immersive. You're in the game, you're controlling it. So this is not an RPG, but to use as an example, the PT, Silent Hills trailer.
One of the most publicized and talked about survival horror games ever announced.
And for great reason.
And canceled.
As you take into account that entire demo, you are just in this hall, in this house. It plays with your senses. Not that much actually occurs. There might be sightings, shall we say. You haven't played it, but like even those aren't the scariest parts to me. They certainly made me jump, and without the drawback of a giant lunge in the score.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but
right.
It's the anticipation of those moments, just immersing yourself in the atmosphere, going around, zooming in on a corner of wall where the drywall is cracked, and seeing like the full detail there. It puts you in. You. With like a text box in an RPG or something, you could even use the right timing and that slow droll of the noise of the words appearing in that box to create an unsettling mood amidst the silence.
Or even use the speed with which the words unfurl into the text box, you know.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, on another note, the Final Fantasy Tactics like text writing noise that we're describing, it's like got to be the best of any like text box in any RPG. It's the best. But I guess so. You're touching on stuff that makes like survival horror games really awesome. But like, what is it exactly about RPGs that could like make it that could create like unique effects in that area?
I think the only way a JRPG can really create those effects is through its atmosphere and its environment.
Well, that's of course it's like the most basic elements of
but and psychological elements as well. I think you won't be able to have like jump scares and stuff like that in a JRPG. I don't think that's possible, really.
Well, yeah, that's true. I feel like it could with the score and like with cinematic events, like even not ones that are like like break from the game, but like even in just like game dialogue, like I feel like you could definitely have jump scares, and hopefully, obviously, they'd be tastefully done. But I think the opportunities would exist.
Random faces that pop up with like scary, gory faces that pop up whenever you cheap scares.
Well, how about this? When thinking about like how an RPG would be a great vehicle for horror, like what makes like JRPGs great? We talk about this all the time. Like it has to be plot based, right? Like it has to like the fear that you experience has to be intertwined into the story of what's happening. Like it can't be entirely visual and audio. Like it has to be it has to be emotional.
Yeah, which makes sense hand in hand with the genre too. I mean, a role playing game obviously encourages role playing, encourages perhaps more than any other genre of game, although maybe it's debatable, to really get in your character's skin, build and from the ground up. Some cases there's already a great backstory there. Sometimes you contribute to it. And while in a medium as visual as games, there might be a temptation to try to create visually really crazy monsters and stuff that you couldn't conceive of, like seeing in a live action film or something like that. I think that level of immersion, being there at the character and having a great story and atmosphere to go with it, is going to make all the difference, regardless of what you actually see visualized on the screen.
I think one horror JRPG that I know of is called Shadow Hearts.
Yeah.
It's not Shadow Hearts 2 because that got a little more campy.
Was Covenant the first one? Or
No,
the second
it's just
one?
called Shadow Hearts, and it's like classic Japanese horror kind of horror, and it's like a B movie, like that kind of horror. So there's scary that's like
Kind of campy.
yeah, kind of campy and stuff like that, and cheesy acting sometimes. But I think that's deliberate. But like the creepy part that I want to talk about is one of them at least is during that game. I've talked about it before. It's like the first area you go to, you're in like this typical Japanese village, and then you're like you go to an inn, and everyone's acting like kind of suspicious, and you're like and you kind of feel on edge, and you fall asleep. And you wake up, and the entire village is like covered in like a red mist, and there's corpses everywhere, and there's gore and blood everywhere, and you're like, "Well, this isn't right." And you just it's like all the village people are like demon foxes, and they're like luring tourists in, and they just get eaten.
It gave you that feeling in your tummy, huh?
And you're just like, "Oh, this is kind of creepy."
Yeah.
It's like
Because the creepiest stuff, doesn't even happen in your head. It happens in your stomach. You know, you feel your stomach kind of turn over and go, ooh. You know, even before your brain kind of registers that you're feeling that way.
Exactly. I could do like a non-horror scary thing. Like when you're playing Persona 3, sometimes in the level you would hear like a bell ringing after if you're in the level for a long time, and it tells you that like you don't feel like something's not right. And what you hear
that just creeped me out right now.
and then like you realize and then it's like death has come, run, and then you see like death like following you, and if you get like if he hits you, you have to fight him, and
he's like super hard.
You can't beat him at all.
I'm sure.
That sounds like it would get my knuckles turned white holding the controller.
It's the worst feeling because you're like, oh, I haven't saved in like 3 hours. Oh God, run! Like that's happened before. Every episode in Tales of Destiny remake. Because this happens. Okay?
We need a little checklist every time Nick mentions it.
Yeah, that's one more $1 in the Giant Sword swear jar.
But this is what happens: is they put it in the game where if you like grind in the world map, it's continuously grind. There is a chance where you get visited by the final boss of Tales of Destiny 2 because he travels back in time, and he will just kill your party instantly.
Random.
That's
so crazy.
Literally, you just pop up and like it's like a boss battle music, and you cannot beat this guy. You will die just to
That just sounds like a dick move.
I know, what the heck?
It's because there are people who just like run around in circles and leave it on at night, so it just grinds levels.
Oh, it's a fail safe against
so, and then if you do that, he'll pop up and kill your character.
Is it possible to flee from the battle?
I think it is, but it's just you just get you just like one move and everyone's dead instantly. Because it's funny. It's
right before you segged into that when you're talking about the bells chiming. It reminded me of a very classic scenario that I had not actually occurred to me to bring up now, but now I feel like it's par for the course. Not technically an RPG, but in The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask.
What a
miracle of dark setting, especially considering that the same events are on rotation for a period of 3 days in game time, as long as you're playing, and yet the dread is palpable and it follows you everywhere, personified by the image of the moon with its ceaseless, demented, grinning face looking down at you from above, getting closer and closer over the course of those 3 days.
Every gamer knows that damn face.
Yeah, and it is even just going to the first-person camera in that game and looking up at it on the third day just makes me want to cry. I'm like, no, I haven't finished this thing I'm trying to get done over these 3 days.
I gotta do it. Oh, it's too late. I gotta go back in time.
Oh.
Now just like take the best elements of that atmosphere and mix it with the gameplay of like some of our most beloved RPGs, and it's like, would that not be the greatest game of all time? And I guess
I'm sure they're out there. We just don't know.
Yeah, and that's another thing I wanted to say too. Is like, I'm sure like the listeners have played some great like kind of spooky RPGs. It doesn't obviously have to be that way throughout the entire game, but RPGs that aren't afraid to really mess with the gamer psychologically.
The only other one that comes to mind is Parasite Eve.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
The second one was just straight up Resident Evil, but the first one is like kind of a semi-turn-based JRPG.
Yeah, totally.
And it can get pretty spooky in certain parts. Like the beginning of the game, literally everybody just like, I forget if they like just that they disappear or like, no, everybody like spontaneously combusts or something like that. It's really creepy. And you're like the only one left in the audience, and I'm like, whoa, what the hell just happened?
Man, I'm actually really glad you brought up Parasite Eve, because that's like kind of like if that was the first foray or major foray, you would say, into like survival horror RPGs. But then it's like what happened, because in Parasite Eve 2 they totally went away from all the RPG elements, so they must have really decided that it didn't work.
I guess, yeah. I mean, to me that would be a perfect blend of like my favorite genres, but I guess nobody's really nailed that.
Yeah,
I want to see that happen though. Like
someone just has to nail it. But before we go on, I wanted to get some more kind of creepy moments if you guys had any more to share. Nick, if you do, if you don't, I have one.
I have one. It's in Grandia 2. You go to a city that people are falling asleep and not waking up, and it turns out that there's like these eyes that are like stealing people's consciousness and making them sleep, so they live in an internal dream together. And it turns out that it's like this little girl who's doing it, and you have to follow her into this cave, and it just becomes like this demented, like evil cave, and you're like inside her consciousness, and it's just really creepy. The music's really eerie as well, and it was just like a really creepy area.
Never follow a little girl.
Yeah,
into
exactly.
A cave.
Yeah, that was your first mistake, Doug.
So it was just like, I thought that part was creepy. Like when I first played it, I couldn't beat it because it was just too creepy.
That sounds.
So I think
creepy.
I was like 12 when I played it. So
Okay.
it was pretty creepy.
So I have two short ones that I wanted to share, and actually both of them are from Final Fantasy VII. But because they actually had a number of quite creepy parts that I appreciate very much. And of course there's tons in the other Final Fantasies too, but I'll just start with these. So we talked about this last week with Ben, actually, at Shinra headquarters, when basically if this is a spoiler for you, then stop listening to this podcast. Where basically Sephiroth shows up and kills everyone in the Shinra building, and then like basically you wake up in your cell because you were in prison in the Shinra building, and you wake up and the guard outside is dead and your door is open, and there's just like
blood everywhere. Yeah,
there's no soundtrack. It's just dead silent, and you just like you wake up and then you go, wait, why the hell is the door open? And like right when that happens, you could kind of like you feel yourself in Cloud's consciousness and like, wait, this isn't right, you know? And it's like just dead silent, which a lot of times in games is the scariest thing to hear. And you walk outside and see the guard's body on the ground, and right when you inspect his body, the creepy dissonant synth notes come in, and just like, it kind of sets in that you're like, oh no, something really scary is happening here. And then as you're running around and there's giant trails of blood everywhere, and the creepy music continues, you get in random battles, and it doesn't go to the battle music. It stays on the creepy music. Yeah. And like all the enemies that show up once everyone's dead in the Shinra building are like these crazy zombie dog things with spikes through their chests, and like these like brain bucket floating things that like this head pops out of them, and like it's just creepy as hell. And ever since I was a little kid, that part always messed with me. And the other part is when you go back to Nibelheim for the first time as Cloud, right after Cosmo Canyon. Basically, the whole town is deserted, or not deserted, but it's kind of a ghost town, and it's supposedly Cloud's hometown, and no one recognizes him. Yeah, and like this really sad music is playing, the whole time. Yeah, like this weird kind of like wistful, depressive music. You know the tune.
Yeah.
And you go into all the houses, like all the houses from Cloud's childhood that he knows, and instead of the people that Cloud knows, it's these little hooded children wearing these black capes, and they can't even talk. They just kind of moan and groan about the reunion in Sephiroth. They can't even talk. Like, you just walk into this one room, and this sad music is playing, and these 3 little kids wearing like black cloaks are just sitting there like huddled in the corner saying like Sephiroth reunion, and it's just like, ooh, what is this place?
Yeah.
It's so creepy. And then you go into the Shinra
Shinra Mansion, yeah. Oh,
and it
man.
gets way creepier. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, the music does a great job of setting the tone.
Man, really freaky stuff in Final Fantasy VII. And it's like you don't even think about that when you think of the game, you know?
Oh,
Yeah.
But
Sure.
yeah, definitely. Those are some of my most inspirational, scary JRPG moments.
You know what's very scary? Final Fantasy 13 was made.
Oh, I don't. That's just a myth.
yeah, that hasn't been corroborated.
There's no room for that kind of bullshit on this podcast, Nick.
I think, okay, for realsies, I think one of the creepiest things that happened for me was playing Final Fantasy Tactics for the first time, and then fighting the Cardinal. And he turns into the Zodiac
Turns
monster,
into Quake
and it's like,
the
wait, what?
Yeah.
What's just happened?
Because you totally thought he was a good guy until
Yeah.
that point. You're like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
you're a giant demon with a mouth in its chest.
That's the funny
Okay.
thing. It's just like, okay, now there's demons in this game.
Great music there, too.
Oh yeah.
Dun dun
The
dun
best.
dun 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 dun.
I'd like to give a quick shout out. This isn't so much a moment or a single moment as it is many, many moments, but especially since I began playing Fallout 4, when I look back at Fallout 3 and think of all the times I'm just like, focused on rummaging through some
bombed out town or
some
something.
bombed out like building full of junk in the dark with only the light from my Pip-Boy. Then you come into some sort of character encounter and it automatically brings you, like, turns your camera around and zooms it into their freaky NPC faces that sometimes glitch out and you can just see their floating teeth and eyes in their head.
Oh, God.
That like gets under my skin.
Well, and plus, like, at that point, the encounter is being lit up by the light from your Pip-Boy, which
Yeah.
is hanging at your character's, like, waist level. And so the character that you're talking to is being illuminated, like, from below, like they're holding
Like
a
you-
freaking flashlight up to their face telling a campfire story.
Oh yeah, and their faces were no. I mean, it looked good to me when it came out, but
In retrospect.
yeah.
Well,
now
that's
it's
like,
just
look
terrifying.
at Oblivion in retrospect. Like,
Let's
I
not
thought,
look
I
at
thought
Oblivion.
I thought Oblivion's graphics were so revolutionary, and going
Oh,
back
yeah.
now, I'm like,
Oh, God. Yeah.
What happened to your face?
yeah, every guy looks like they have like a 50-year alcoholic's face worth.
Yeah.
So good. Not to mention, there's like 5 voices in that game. Like
Good day.
every other
Darker.
every other NPC has the voice of the emperor.
Yeah.
It's like, whatever. Anyways, it's fun to kind of dive a little deeper into spooky RPGs, but I guess that should just about do it. All of you should campaign your favorite company to invest in this.
Namco Bandai.
Square Enix, Enix, Titus.
EA Sports, get in the game.
Yeah, please make spooky NBA 2K18, please.
And then Piccolo's voice.
Get in the game, go on.
But EA Sports Piccolo, go!
Is that like Chao Su?
It
kind of sounded like him.
Chaozu devoured Gohan.
Which probably should happen. Probably has happened in a fan fiction.
Yeah.
But,
Of course, he got
anyways,
brought back.
right, as they always do in Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
Anyways, after some rousing and thoughtful discussion, let's play a totally BS game called Back in the Box. We've had some fan requests for this one and some personal requests for this one because we all love playing it. So, Nick, you will be moderating today. Tell us how it works.
I'll be reading the back of the box. Wow. To get to say your name once you know the back of the box to answer. Once if you, oh my God, I'm screwing up.
Basically, you're going to read the back of the box, and once we know what game it is by the back of the box that you're reading, we say our name and then say the answer. Is that better, Nick?
Yes, thank you. For some reason I was thinking of whose line is it anyway, and I kept thinking points don't matter.
Yeah,
What's
exactly.
weird is I was literally just thinking that too.
Yeah, it was screwing me up.
But the difference is the points do matter.
Yeah, the points do matter, but everybody still loses.
Drew Carey is still participating though.
Yeah. All
Nick,
right.
if you could put on your wide framed or whatever, horn rim glasses, that would be great.
All right. Done.
Nick, no!
Appropriate.
All right. Round 1. Let's do this.
Let's do it.
Blank blasts his way onto the N64 system for the first time ever. This epic adventure combines the best of classic blank action with enormous bosses and riveting storyline and all the depth of the hottest RPG.
What?
Explore the vast 3D worlds in your quest to find the treasure of all treasures.
Taylor.
Yes.
Mega Man Legends or / Mega Man 64?
Yes.
Oh!
What?
Was
Can
it
I-
the blast that
can I-
gave it away?
Oh, I love this soundboard. By the way, Mega Man 64,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's a game?
Yeah.
It's just Mega Man Legends.
Really?
Yeah.
That came out on
That
64?
actually seems
Are-
so appropriate for N64. That
I
sounds
didn't know
cool.
that came out in 64, and henceforth I'm putting an asterisk next to this entire competition. So now that we know that the results of the rest of this are meaningless, let's continue.
Round 2.
Good one, though, Taylor.
Thinking.
Step back into the night. Terrible creatures lurk in the dark, preying on those who wander into the hidden hour that lies between one day and the next.
Taylor.
Yep.
Persona 3.
Yep.
God damn it. I really didn't even have a fighting chance on that one.
I'm like, I feel bad. I almost should have let that one go a little longer.
Hey, don't feel bad. I mean, Nick would just grind my face into the concrete when we played this game. If only we had our buzzer sound on the soundboard. You'll have to do it manually.
All right.
Continue.
Round 3. Strategy RPs are about to get a serious kick in the ass. A huge hit in Japan. Blank.
Connor,
Yes.
Disgaea, Hour of Darkness?
Yes.
I'm trying to think. I'm like, it had to be
I was
just.
trying to think of the only strategy RPG that would use the phrase "a kick in the ass."
Yeah, right.
That's the only one that came to mind. And once you said Japanese, whatever, I was like, "Yep."
Nice.
First one.
How you like them apples?
They're tasty.
I got
Maybe-
I got a number.
All right. I don't know if any of you guys are going to get this one.
Ooh, I like it.
You know what you can get from me?
Oh, that's not nice.
Middle fingers.
Yep. Round 4. Fall headfirst into a magical world.
Casey. Legend of Zelda Tokyo Drift.
Yes.
I'll let you finish
You know-
for their benefit.
I've played a lot of Zelda games. Haven't heard of that one. Never played that one.
It never got released outside of Japan. I don't know why.
Okay.
Son of a
for-
bitch, Casey.
For realsies. Fall headfirst into a magical world. After a plummet from above propels you into a...
Connor.
Yes.
Fallout Boy.
No. Prepares
Really?
you...
Sorry.
propels you into a mysterious land. The blank declares you the new ruler of blank. Explore dangerous ruins, make friends, cultivate your new home, all while drawing closer to a mystery herald
Taylor.
by... Yes.
Dark Cloud.
Nope.
Oh, really? Okay.
Drawing closer to a mysterious herald by the appearance of a young lady with positively monstrous secret.
Okay, so since we all answered, we can all do it again, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's open. Positively monstrous secret. That is a huge clue. Holy crap.
I thought for sure it was Dark Cloud because you were talking about like rebuilding a town or something like that.
Cultivate your
Yes.
new home.
Oh, okay. Well,
Can you
you
know,
yeah,
yeah,
just do that
let's-
again?
Let's run it back. I need to think.
Fall headfirst into a magical world. After a plummet from above propels you into a mysterious land, the blank declares you the new ruler of blank. Explore dangerous ruins, make friends, cultivate your new home, all while drawing closer to a mysterious herald
Goodness.
by the appearance
all right.
of
I
a
know
young
what it
lady.
is.
What is
Taylor.
this?
Yeah.
Bruin Factory 4.
Yep.
Farts. You were gonna get that. I mean, it's dang it. It's one of those ones where it's like, now that I know that's what it is, I listen to the description. I'm like, damn it. I should've
Yeah,
known
because I
that.
remember. Yeah, you literally land on like a dragon or something like that. Yeah.
Yep.
When you start the game, so
Kinky, dude.
The blank is literally saying young or godly dragon.
All right, Taylor 3, Connor 1, Casey jack shit.
Yeah.
All right, this one is not vague at all. Let's do this.
All right, so this is the speed round, is what you're saying.
Nope. Embark on a heroic journey to discover the truth behind an enigmatic stranger and the ominous message she brings. For years, life in the sleepy village of Blank was routine and peaceful. That is, until the day a spacecraft crashed in a nearby forest, leaving nothing but wreckage. A mysterious girl and a desperate warning of catastrophe. Join Blank, and other valiant heroes as they set out to discover the origin of the stranded girl and the truth behind the fate of their world.
Dude, I suck at this game so bad. Ugh.
I think I know what it is, but I want to give these guys a chance.
Burn in hell.
I feel bad. I feel like Nick is just picking games that I've played or something.
I picked games that everyone have played.
That's a
Mostly.
huge lie.
Mostly.
Moving on, though. God damn. Star Ocean 5?
No.
That was a wild guess.
That was actually my guess. Okay. Well,
Really?
Yeah, that was going to be my guess.
I don't think I've played this game.
A ship crash in the forest, and it's a mysterious girl.
This plot
Yeah,
sounds so familiar. I guess it's kind of tropey, but
Yeah, it's
whatever.
super trophy.
A Taylor Xenosaga?
Nope.
Okay. Nope.
Casey, anything?
You want me to tell you the platform?
Let Casey guess,
Yeah.
and then let us all have a crack at it.
Yeah.
I always wonder if there's someone in listening to the podcast just going, "It's blah blah blah."
This,
you
you idiot! Oh my god!
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
You call yourselves JRPG fans? Sorry, I suck at life.
I think I tend to overthink these because that sounds like so many things just vaguely.
Right, 'cause
but
it's
it's
so
probably going to
tropey.
be so obvious.
Well, Taylor, what's your? Oh wait, give us the platform. Sorry.
PS1.
Okay, it's not Lunar 2.
I was thinking
But
Lunar
none of-
myself, but I don't
Only
remember.
the only part that matches up is a lady from outer space with like a grave warning or whatever.
Hmm.
That's the only part that. All right,
So,
well,
ship
I throw in the
crash.
tall. I don't think I've played it. I don't think I've played it.
Hold on, ship crash. This is really.
Casey needs a guess before we can try again.
Yeah,
I'll
Casey's
I'll-
ripping hair out of his
I'm
skull.
going to give you.
No, you're not.
I'm going to give you more hints. So
Are you?
I'm
yeah.
gonna give you a knuckle
Will you?
sandwich,
Oh,
extra mayo.
We've played
Probably
it. We've played this.
It's not.
you should know about it. I
Have-
think we've played it. You played it a couple times.
Okay.
At least
All right.
you've tried it out.
Tales of the Abyss.
It's not.
No.
Just kidding. I
Grandia,
know it's
is
not
it?
that.
Because it's
Am
PS.
I getting that?
Oh, yeah,
confused
PS1.
right now.
No, it's not Grandia. All
Yeah,
right.
I think I'm mixing
Hundreds of
details.
powerful spells, enchanted weapons, and arcane items.
Wow, that doesn't sound like every
Loud-
RPG of all time.
Large cast of unique personalities. Beautifully animated sequences.
I give up. That's it.
Real-time combat system with combo moves and skills.
Real-time combat. Interesting.
For PS1.
PS1.
Huh.
All right, this is about to be a shot clock violation. This question needs to end in the next 10 seconds.
So we'll let Casey guess, and then we'll just.
Oh, fuck.
If he has had a
Yeah,
guess
I
by
don't.
now.
I would if I could think of.
I know. I'd try to.
All right, we give up. We give up.
Join Reed, Farah, and other valiant heroes as they set out to discover the origin of the stranded girl and the truth behind their fate of their world.
I don't.
Connor,
Yes.
Tales of Eternia.
Oh.
Okay, I've never played that, so then.
My guess was going to be Star Ocean 2, but
I
that's
haven't-
not what I know. That game's not about that.
I haven't played Tales of Eternia since I was, I don't know, negative 55 years old. So
It's a long time ago, yeah.
yeah, it was a long
Wow,
time ago.
nice one, Connor. I didn't know that game had anything to do with spaceships.
I should get half a point for that. though. All right. Taylor 3, me 2. Casey.
All right. Explore the mystery, unlock the power, become the master. Centuries after the Blank saw the wicked forest of Blank purified, a new species of unholy beast has risen to overtake our world. Only Blank, an impetuous boy, can seek the divine powers of the ancient Blank. He must breed and raise an army of his own monsters and wage battle against the inhuman horde before he consumed by a parasite within.
Taylor. Oh, shit! I have to guess now. I was gonna say Jay Cocoon, but I don't think that's
Yeah,
it.
we already did that one,
Yeah.
as you guys both freaking remember. Nick
But it's not
answered it
Jake
and
Cocoon,
point
though.
you
I don't
A
think-
new breed of role playing.
It's so I
know the answer.
Tagline.
Well, I mean, I had to guess, right? Because I said.
Did you say Jade Cocoon?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, Connor.
Jade Cocoon 2.
Yep.
Yes!
Okay.
How you like that shit? Woo! I knew it. I could tell by how smugly Nick said no when you said Jade Cocoon. Nick is like,
No.
Nope. I'm like, oh, he's screwing with them. It's Jade Cocoon 2. Oh, that's hilarious.
All right, how many do you have? 3?
Yeah.
Tied
3-3.
3-3.
Now Casey can win out here and take home the prize. So
possible.
don't throw in the towel quite yet.
All right.
Bring it, bitch.
Build your world. Invent your weapons. Create your adventure. Discover a secret binding the past, present, and future. A secret where innocent blank and a temporal blank and an ageless evil hold the key.
Dude, can you like talk,
so
please?
big?
Is that the whole thing?
Evil.
Okay.
One more time.
Experience
Your
an
world.
epic action role-playing adventure that relies on your innovation as much as your exploration and fighting reflexes.
Taylor.
I have a guess, but I'm so gun shy. I don't want to screw it up.
Dark Cloud 2.
Yep.
Damn it! Oh, I got that installment right and everything. Damn.
Yeah, because the second one is more about inventing stuff. The first one's just about building your town. If I remember right.
Damn it! My guess was wrong, so I'm glad I didn't say anything.
All right, guys. This one, I don't think any of you played.
All right, that should be fun then.
It should be riveting.
It should be
All right.
different from all the other rounds for me.
Yeah, you might get this one, all right?
Well, hey, if we were playing with horror movies, you'd be killing us 10-0. So
Fair enough.
Blank will take you on an incredible journey to protect the universe from the evil Blank once and for all. You can use combat strategies to help fulfill the Blank, the greatest warrior of the universe has ever known.
you know, if none of us have played it, should you even give us? Should you just say the blanks?
Yeah, no, I can't say the blanks.
It'll
Okay,
just straight up
it'll
give it
give it
away. Okay.
The kidnapping of Blank's son threatens the safety of the universe. The future depends on your ability to use your powers to help Blank defeat his enemies.
Huh.
Get ready to power up.
Power up. That's clearly
Yeah,
a catchphrase
that's-
of the game. Power up.
Kidnapping.
And we've never played it before.
Yeah,
I had a guess, but I'm like, Nick wouldn't have said that if Nick wouldn't have said we've played it before because I have played this. Power up. There's a universe that needs saving. Universe, so that's space, something spacey.
Power up. Robots, maybe? Futuristic?
Mm-hmm.
Gotta be.
Can you give us a platform?
No, yeah.
Game Boy Advance.
Oh, jeez.
Connor.
Yes.
Advance Wars?
No.
Ooh, that's a good guess, though.
Close.
So you both have to hazard a guess
No,
and
it's not
fail
really
before
close
I
at
can
all.
come in?
I guess.
Oh, wait.
What?
So they both have to guess wrong before I can guess again?
Or they just
Yeah.
give up, yeah.
Damn it.
I don't know any games on Game Boy Advance other than Pokemon or like,
You have to guess.
I don't know, Final Fantasy Tactics Advance.
Yep. He's right. What? No, I'm joking. He's not.
I was gonna say, fuck you.
I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
Nick, you scurvy son of a bitch. Oh, I love you. That was beautiful. Oh.
That was well deserved.
Oh, man.
You're on fire right now, sir.
Game Boy Advance.
So you, that's your guess.
That was my guess,
Okay, so
Casey.
Because I have 800 more guesses, but I can't let fly until.
You saying Game Boy Advance makes this a bit harder on me now because
know
I
what it is. I think.
only played a
I think.
handful of Game Boy Advance games that even were RPGs.
Can we get the description again, please?
Yeah.
Blank will take you on an incredible journey to protect the universe from the evil Blank. Once and for all, you will use combat strategies that help fulfill the Blank, the greatest warrior the universe has ever known. The kidnapping of Blank's son threatens the safety of the universe. The future depends on your ability to use your powers to help Blank defeat his enemies. Get ready to power up.
Oh, wait
Dang.
a minute. I think I know what it is.
I love that you put the sunglasses on that voice at the end there.
Yep.
Power up, extreme. Anything over there, Sea Dog?
Generic as Power Up is as any sort of tagline, it's like it's becoming quite the caterpillar in my buttermilk. It's hanging off the end of my tongue. But I think that I'd better wave the white flag on this one. I don't know.
Okay.
I'll add a word. I'll add a word.
Connor.
Yeah.
Golden Sun.
No.
I'm just
Golden
throwing.
Sun is
I'm just throwing crap out at this point.
All right.
amazing.
Okay.
Taylor, anything? I thought you said you had something.
I thought I did, but then when Nick started reading it again, I
Kinda went
didn't.
out the window.
Yeah, I mean, my guess was going to be like some Dragon Ball RPG, but I don't know what
Connor-
it's called.
Mega Man Battle Network.
Nope.
Dragon Ball Battle for the Universe.
Dragon Ball Boo's Fury.
I don't know what the
give
subtitle
up,
would be.
man. I give.
Okay.
Or do you want to keep giving hints until?
Yeah,
Do we know what the actual name is?
You might.
This guy.
All right. The Legacy of Blank will take you on an
Dude,
incredible
just
journey.
give us the names
Casey.
now.
What?
I don't even remember what platform this is for, but because you said that, is it the Legacy of Kain by
No.
any chance?
No.
Okay.
All right.
Never played this.
Will take you on an incredible journey to protect the universe from the evil Emperor Blank once and for all. You'll use combat strategies to help fulfill the legacy of Blank, the greatest warrior
Emperor, power
of
up.
the universe has ever known. The kidnapping of Goku's son, Gohan, threatens the safety of the universe.
I did say Dragon Ball.
Connor,
but-
Dragon Ball Z Boo's Fury.
Yeah.
That's the only
Casey,
one I played.
Dragon Ball Z Saiyans? Is that one PlayStation?
So we
God
have to.
damn it.
We're trying to figure out the tagline
Yeah.
or the subtitle. God damn it, Nick!
Dragon Ball.
All right, I throw in the white towel
Yeah,
as
I don't know.
as a protest to the moderator of this competition.
Was it Dragon Ball Z? You did it, Goku
Yes,
edition?
that's the one.
That's it.
It was Dragon Ball Z Zabon's quest.
Well, you all got Dragon Ball Z, so I'll give you a half point.
God damn it.
Yay.
Which one was
What the
it?
hell was it?
What was it?
Legacy of Goku.
God damn it.
Okay.
You're a bad person.
I picked that one on purpose.
I feel
Oh,
like
well, yeah. How'd you pick all the other ones? At random?
Yep.
Seems like it. I'm bitter.
I can't tell.
Wait, so it's 4
and a half.
4.5, 3.5, and a half.
I mean, all right.
all right. Plowing ahead. Let's wrap this bullshit up.
What are you? 2 left? 3 left.
There's 2 left. I'm going to do 3,
All
just
right.
because I want to do all of them.
Bring it.
1 year has passed since the events of Blank. Blank is now a full-fledged Blank, and Blank his trusted navigator when this... And... Whoa. What?
Connor.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 12 Revenant Wings.
Yes.
Oh, this guy.
That was some-
You like that?
1 year after a navigator, you bitch.
Well,
No,
I know that. I know FF12 Revenant Wings happens immediately after the events of Final Fantasy 12, so I figured after 1 year navigating as a sky pirate.
Ooh.
No, because it says
Man.
Van is now a full-fledged sky pirate, and Penelo his trusted navigator.
Okay.
So
What?
That's not even a complete sentence.
It's a period right there, and it threw me off.
weird. Either way.
Okay, anyway.
That's my points. I'll take that. Thank you.
Final
tight.
Fantasy 12, Penelo's Revenge.
The Rise of the Machines.
All right.
This time it's personal.
I'm going to do... Okay.
So this is actual for the win right here, right?
Yes.
All right.
Prepare to die. Oh, man.
The blank shatters. Unless a handful of heroes can protect the remaining blank, the world will fall into ruin.
Taylor, Bravely Default.
Nope.
Dang it.
Set off on a grand adventure and experience blank in its truest form. As an enhanced graphics, story, and sound bring a new life to the blank. Use all new additions to the vast job system.
Connor.
Yes.
Final Fantasy 5.
Yep.
Oh, wow. I never would have got that. I don't know anything about Final Fantasy
When you
5.
said it shattered, I'm like, okay, the crystals shatter, blah, blah, blah. And then you're like, the job system. Yep, that's it.
That
Thank
sounds
you.
exactly like...
Every other Final
No,
Fantasy.
Bravely Default. That's what that game's about. You have warriors, and you have this job system, and it's all about restoring the crystals, so that sounds exactly the same.
You know what that means at this point, Taylor?
What?
Jack Squad.
All right. This is for the win.
No, this is for...
The win.
Extra credits.
This is... Whoever gets this right gets kicked in the nuts.
This is from Europe. I mean, this is the Europe box.
Oh, okay.
This is really easy.
Kalor.
Yep. The world of Blank lives in terror of the deadly Blank that appeared from nowhere in a remote and tiny village. A Blank.
Casey?
Yep.
Legend of Legaia.
Yep. Nice.
Casey wins! Casey wins! He comes from behind!
I get one for a game I haven't played.
There you have it, sports fans!
I'll have some more.
Wait.
Otacon.
Why are you helping me?
Well, this episode has been an absolute shit show, but it has been very fun.
Yes.
Special thanks to Casey for showing up and making it lively and hilarious.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Always good to have you on, sir.
Yes.
Much obliged.
One of my closest friends and my RPG confidant. Always good to be on the show with him. And that being said, from your host of the Giant Sword podcast, thank you so much.
Boogly.
And listen to us next week. Boogly.